Hi everyone. Sorry, I nearly forgot to turn on my mic again then. I want to do come and do a little bit of like a post live stream show. I really wasn't happy with the live stream tonight. I didn't have enough time to research the stories. And the reason I didn't have enough time is I sort of explained it. I had to get involved in some technical stuff in doing the intro and all that sort of stuff. And obviously people are very happy with the intro and it looks great, and people have obviously just said, hi everyone. Somebody just made a comment saying I've got an intro and I'm a professional now or something like that. But it took like half the day to do it, and I suppose if anybody has followed me for any length of time, they will know that I've got no time for technical stuff at all, and I have to do it, and it drives me insane because it's not that I can't do it, it's just that I know my talents lie elsewhere, and I sort of want to like fill you in on how I go about things and how I sort of investigate a story, because there are some times when I investigate something, you know what, I have absolutely no clue about the subject whatsoever, and that's pretty much the situation I was in 30 minutes ago. After I finished the live stream, full disclosure, I've had a beer and a smoke, so this is not going to be the most professional thing here ever. You're going to get in me at my raw self, so to speak. Yeah, it looks very professional, says Gabriel Swift. I like it. I must admit, that the first time I saw that behind me, I was like, I like the intro, I like the graphics, but then it morphed into that, and I was like, because I get a sense of like narcissism. It's like I feel narcissistic and dirty and. But the first time I saw it was about 2 weeks ago, and now this is how egotistical man is. Somebody who felt narcissistic 2 weeks ago now wants that as big as possible in neon lights everywhere. Go figure. Oh yeah, somebody mentioned UK column, didn't they? Gabriel. You mentioned UK column. Now, I've watched UK column. You know, the clips that they put out on YouTube, the little clips, and I've thought that they're excellent, and they've done great work with Patrick Henningsen and Vanessa Beeley. And the one day, it was when the Integrity Initiative stuff was going on. I don't think I slept for about 3 days when that broke. I don't think I slept for about 3 days trying to figure out, you know, get to the bottom of as much as I possibly could do. But somebody suggested that I watch UK column because they were talking about some journalists that were about to be smeared, and it had come out that they were going to smear Vanessa Beeley and some other journalists as well, and they'd sort of got advance notice of it. So I tuned into the live stream. Now, I'd never seen a live stream. I got so much flack for saying something similar on a video as well. I said something about sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but as I said, I've had a smoke and a drink. I'll come back to it. I'll put a pin in that. But somebody mentioned something about you know, the James O'Brien video I did where he broke the stupidometer. It was well received, that was, but the thing that people really picked up on, people do this all the time. They pick up on one thing that I say or whatever, and they make a big deal out of that. It's like, oh, he means this. No, it doesn't. I said, full disclosure, I've never seen a full episode of James O'Brien, but I've seen a lot of his stuff and clips on YouTube. That's pretty much what I said. People, oh, he's never seen a full episode, has he? He's never seen a full episode. How can I take you serious if you don't know every single thing the guy stands for? Come on, I've seen a lot of it. You know, is that your only argument? Look at what I said in the video. He broke the fucking stupidometer. Is that the only argument you've got? Anyway, sorry. Anyway, but going back to UK column, I watched this full episode, and it was 60 minutes long, right? And now usually they will cut a segment, obviously, and I'd only seen segments they'd released before. But what I also saw was the interaction between the segments in this live stream. It was hilarious because what you had, it was like 3 or 4 segments that they could cut. And I watched it live, and these 2 guys, they're excellent. I love those 2 guys. And the stories that they did were brilliant. It was 57 minutes of top quality stuff. It's stuff that you should put that 57 minutes on TV right now. However, the first story they started talking about was Trump's wall. And he was shutting down the wall at the time and arguing with Congress. And they sort of told the story, and they told the story for about 10 minutes, whatever it was, at the start. And then, right, okay, it's fine. And they sort of gave their opinion afterwards. And the one guy just suddenly said, he turned around and said, of course, it's not about all that, what they're fighting about, the Democrats and whatever. It's like, no, this is a political stunt by Trump, obviously, to take, and this is what I thought he was going to say. And he suddenly just said, no, it's about the drugs coming in over the border. And it's like, no, it's not. And a fucking wall is not going to solve that, you idiot. And he went on how nobody's scaled this wall. And I'm like, has anybody tried tunnelling under it? And they went off on a tangent. And then you heard you heard this. Go back and watch the episode. I'm sure you heard this. The guy who's like behind the scenes told the guy, stay on script. You heard it like over his earpiece. It was something like that anyway. Then it went on. And the rest of the show was excellent. And they started talking about military and military manoeuvres. And it was great reporting. And then there was a story right tagged on at the end of this 56 minutes where there's like one thing that he went off on and blamed the war on drugs. It's like nothing to do with drugs. It's nothing to, it's like, got it totally wrong. Ruined the whole segment with 30 seconds. That's what I'm saying. And then he went on to a story about how they just allowed male and female military people to be put in the same dorm. And it's like, right, okay. And that was the end. And then right at the end, the guy turned around to the other guy and he said, of course, there are instances where, men dress up as women to go into the dorms in the military or something like that. It's like, where has that happened ever in the history of the world ever? I sat there dumbfounded as to what the guy said, and then the stream ended. It was 57 minutes of brilliant reporting, followed by interspersed by 2 or 3 moments of absolute insanity. Honestly, and that's what my sort of review of UK column is. They do brilliant work, but for some reason, when they go off script, it just all goes tits up and goes wrong. Really is quite funny. But that's not to say it's bad. It's a good channel. Hi, everyone. I've probably lost about 500 subscribers, haven't I? Anyway, this is the story. Because Ian56 tweeted this out. Which of these 4 charts make you laugh the most? Right? He's got a chart there, and it's obviously from Zero Hedge. And there are certain subjects I know absolutely nothing about. Let me just put this over on the other side. And stocks and shares and that sort of thing are one of them. Let me change that. Properties. Okay, so it says which one of these 4 charts makes you laugh the most, and it's all about stocks decoupled from earnings expectations. Now, I have absolutely no clue really with stocks and shares or anything like that. I haven't got a clue. There are certain subjects you meet, and it's just like you've just got to learn. So this is my process of learning. So we've got here. We've got about 4 graphs. And then we've got another graph here that goes down, stocks decoupled from macro data. So you can see here, something happened here, middle of December, at the turn of last year, where all of a sudden, those 2 things decoupled. And here, the stocks compared to macro data. They were sort of aligned together, and then, you know, around about the turn of the year, they went really high and then went through the floor. And then we got global stocks decoupled from global bonds. Again, around the turn of the year, December the 31st, all of a sudden those two lines don't correlate anymore. You know? They don't correlate. I don't know what any of this means. But then you look at the bottom graph. Global stocks perfectly coupled with global money supply and global central bank balance sheets. Now, those weren't correlated, and around the same time, all of a sudden, bing, they're aligned. And so what the hell has happened here? And that's what I want to find out, because I didn't know what any of this meant. I didn't know what any of it meant. So I'll say this to people. You know what? This is a lesson for you. If you want to know how I get to the bottom of something, ask questions and never be afraid of being called dumb because you didn't know the answer to a question. If you don't know the answer, say, can somebody explain this to me? I honestly don't know. It's okay. And if you say it like that, people will anybody saying, oh, you dumbass, then, you know what, they're a prick and they're not worth their fucking time anyway. I asked him. Didn't make any sense to me, because obviously you remember the title, which of these four charts make you laugh the most? Didn't make any sense to me. None, since I do not understand a single one of them. Does the above make me stupid, or the only one brave to admit it? That's the point I was trying to make. Like, never be afraid to ask a question that might make people think you're stupid. The red line is future US corporate profit expectations, Ian replies. The green line is the value of the S&P 500 stock market index. Usually, they are highly correlated. Yes, okay, I got that from the graphs. But there has been a sudden recent disconnect. Okay. I can see that from the graphs. Right. It's never stupid to ask something you don't understand, because nobody's explained it before. Brilliant. That you would love that. This is why you love people like Ian 56 and why you surround your people like him. He comes back with a response like that and obviously knows what I'm talking about immediately. It's only stupid to not ask about something that you want to understand but don't understand that. The economy is expected to tank, he says, but stocks are going up because the banks are printing money. Okay. That's his explanation for what's happening. Right, we'll find out if that's true. We'll investigate that. Thanks for this, obviously, buddy. Do we know what caused the decoupling now? That's the question. Do we know why all of a sudden those three graphs were decoupled? Do we know? Is it because they're printing money? What did they do? You know, let's get to the bottom of it. Any answers? No, we don't know. Ah, okay, so there's a mystery here. My interest is piqued immediately. There's a mystery. It's not a conspiracy, it's a mystery. We don't know what it is. It's a conspiracy when we have a theory. You see what I mean? We don't know what it is yet. We would have to ask the big banks why they are printing more money. Are they printing more money? We'll find out if that's a fact. Issuing more debt in the face of multiple indications the United States and Chinese economies are slowing down. Okay. And I replied then with this. I'm going to go live and investigate. Thanks, Ian. I love you, buddy. So, have you got any explanations as to what caused that decoupling? Now, I found a quick article from a quick search that went on to, I think, try and explain what caused the original decoupling back last year. Because what I found is there was a reason that the bottom graph was apart, and they were going on to explain it, but I never really fully investigated it. So that's the next, sort of like the next level of the investigation that I found. So by asking a question, I've now got another question to answer. And that's basically the way I work. And I wanted to give you a little insight into it, sort of as a thank you, because I wasn't happy with the live stream earlier. I got the segment all messed up and sort of back to front, and I will edit it and get it right, but yeah, I wasn't happy with it because I didn't have enough time to prepare. Let's go into the chat. Let's find out. Let's go up a little bit, because I know you're about 20 seconds behind me, So we're going to go back to, let's turn on the timestamps. Yeah, guys, what I said about UK column, I was not coming down on them at all. It was 98% absolute brilliance, followed by 2 or 3 moments of absolute incredible insanity. It's like, you can't say that. We should have never abandoned the gold standard, says Uncle Trino. Well, the reason you abandoned the gold standard was because you abused the gold standard. It was because you just printed money that the Federal Reserve didn't hold. And when the rest of the world found out about it, you thought, oh, fuck, we got to do something. You know, there's a reason the gold standard was abandoned. I'm extending on what you say there, buddy. I'm not arguing with you. I'm sure you understand that. It's called manufactured magic hand in the market, says Oxley. Something's happened, and I want to find out what it is. I want to at least have somebody who bloody knows what they're talking about explain it. And I don't mean somebody from a corporation somewhere. I mean somebody, you know, a bloody professor or something. Oswistle's no relation between real use value and exchange value of shares. Gap is manipulated speculation. Ah. So you think it's massaging of the system and massaging of the figures somehow? Same sort of deal as they did. Remember when they... Because money is being... There's no doubt in my mind... If you look at the bottom chart here, money is being created from fucking somewhere, isn't it? Global money supply, that is, all of a sudden, boom! And Jay Powell is obviously the man, I know that's Jerome Powell, isn't it? Head of the Fed. So all of a sudden, around December, and this obviously, boom, that would have had a knock-on effect up here. It looks like if I was a betting man, I would say this caused these rather than those caused that. If you know what I mean. This is the cause, I think, not the effect. I think we're settled on that. So the money has been created. This is honestly in my inebriated state and because I've sat down and had a drink and what have you. I don't drink anymore. My immediate thought is, are they just printing money based on the Venezuelan oil they're going to get with the petrodollar? Have they just decided to go, fuck it, we're going to get that oil anyway, we'll stop printing dollars? Yeah, thanks, Uncle Torino. Thank you for that. Yeah, please smash that like button, folks. I know it sounds corny, but it really does help. It really does help with this exposure, and it helps with the algorithm. And it's I've seen what happens when you don't. I like as many videos as I can. Put it that way. I like all the videos that give me information, and I hope if I'm giving you information, you've liked the stream. There you go. There's the try. I'll only like the stream if you actually like the stream. They are printing money directly into the top end. This bypasses real markets, says Oswhistle. I don't fucking know what that means, Oz. I don't know what it means, and it's bugging me. Because that's fucking serious. That seems like that seems to me like that's inevitable financial crash. But do these graphs actually mean that? I mean, graphs that look like that never means good. Unless one of these graphs means amount of war. And I don't think any of these graphs mean that. They are printing money from somewhere, aren't they? It seems to be the solution that seems to be the cause that Ian's Yeah, see, Neil McLeod's immediately gone. Let's have a look at this guy. Richard Werner, who's he? Empirical fact-based economics. Retweets are not an endorsement or agreement. Likes are merely bookmarks. Thesis that lower interest rates lead to higher. I'll look into him, mate. Thank you, Neil, if you're watching. I'll look into him. Well, he's followed by the right people, look. Piers Robinson, Renegade. He's the other one's bloody... Yeah, okay. I'll look into it, mate. Thank you for that, Neil, if you're watching. I'll give him a... I'll drop him a DM, see if he... or an email. See if he knows. But I just wanted to show you just how my mind works. And that's how I go on and do this stuff. I just ask questions, and I keep asking questions until I get the facts to back up the answers. Because obviously Ian said they're printing money, and obviously because Ian said they're printing money, then I immediately go, okay, that's a good source. But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to check it. I'm obviously going to check everything I get from people, or I'm at least going to reference them. You know, I've got to find out what's happened there. And there was a decoupling of it last year as well, because that bottom graph used to be aligned. Let me show you what I mean. So this was back in August last year. This was back in August last year. Stay clear of global stocks, it said. And this is back in August. And you can see here, that's when May last year. I've got to find out what all this means. Whatever it looks like, it looks fucking extremely volatile, doesn't it, guys? So that was May 2018. Are these the same graphs? Are they saying it happened before? Total return level, percent change. No, they're different. Total percent, high shares, total return price, percent change. No, it looks like they're different. Or it could have happened before. Oh well, I'll look into it. Just wanted to give you an insight into, you know, how my mind works, because that was really bugging me, that was. I thought, shit, is there a bloody financial crash imminent? And there could be. Something's gone on. They are printing money directly into the top end. Is this fucking live stream ended or something? Sorry, I've just got to refresh it. Penned. No, it's still live, thank God. Sorry, come on. Sorry, the chat froze. I don't actually have it live here, if you know what I mean. So I can, yeah, that's better. Now I've got the chat back. I missed a shitload of comments. Joe Hickey, this is a thought I had as well, Joe. Do you think we still have Venezuela's gold, or do you think it's been spent? You know what? Hey, that's why they came off the gold standard. That's why the US came off the gold standard. And I don't trust any of these bankers. I don't trust any of them. So I wouldn't put it past them. I've had a horrible cough all winter. Sorry about that. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them. Yeah, banks just make money out of thin air, says Patricia Brannigan. They no longer lend what is on deposit, they just add zeros. See Steve Keen's video. It's kind of wonky but understandable. See, Patricia, this is one of the reasons why I was so interested in it. Because if they, if Ian's explanation there, and you know what, Occam's razor, the simplest and most logical explanation that takes the least amount of conclusions is usually the right one. If his explanation there, and I assume he's done a lot of research because he's Ian 56, his explanation there would basically just blow the water out of all this nonsense about, the blah, blah, blah. It's bollocks. Just fuck, you print the money. It's add a zero. It's MMT. It's as long as you've still got your production value and your workforce, or you've still got your workforce and your resources. As long as you're not overspending that and you're nowhere near it at the moment, then that's okay. Oh. And what I was thinking was maybe this would go some way to prove it. And I haven't heard anybody yet. Maybe make that link. Maybe they're not linked. But I just wanted to check. Covert White Rabbit. The Fed is feeding the banks cash so the speculators can invest it to turn it into hedge funds. This artificially inflates the market, so as long as it goes up, things look okay. Well, if they are doing that, Covert White Rabbit, and if that is the situation, then what they are doing is essentially the same fucking thing that they did with the subprime mortgages that led to the 2008 crash. And if that's the situation, everybody doing it right now should be facing criminal fucking charges, and the people who have done it before should be in prison, which would have stopped the people doing it right now, if they are doing it right now, from maybe doing it right now. Do you see? We're all on the same page. I know we're all talking the same thing. It's just it gets so frustrating sometimes when you're doing this 24/7. Some people do. I've had emails from some people actually mention, I can see it's stressful, and it is. There's so much misery in the world. It can drive you insane, and I can see why people stay off social media as well, because there are some bloody stupid people out there, and there are some bloody dishonest people out there as well, and you can lose half of your life just trying to explain yourself to people who either don't want to be explained to or are just there to really rile you and get a rise out of you. That's all they're doing. It can take its toll on you, and obviously when you're doing this, when you're first starting up as well, you need to do as much social media as possible to obviously build your audience, and that's why I've been so prolific over the last 6 months, I suppose, especially on Twitter. I'm hoping soon I might be able to just scale it down now anyway. Because it is getting to the stage where, see, what you need to do is you need to get to the stage where other people share your stuff. That was always the goal with I've said before how I've been an internet marketer and used bots before. That was always the goal with bots, by the way. Your goal with bots was to spread word of your website to the point where you had enough likes on your page that your audience spread the word for you. And using bots really accelerated that process. And it accelerated that process to such a degree that if you did it the right way, you could get a large amount of followers in a small amount of time. and it'd be beneficial, and you could sell that page. And this is what a lot of internet marketers did, and what Rachel Maddow paid absolutely no attention to when she's done her reporting on Russian bots in Bernie Sanders groups. She's a crazy woman, she is. I am pulling 31k out of the bank on Friday or Monday. I hope that is fast enough, mate. Yeah, me too, mate. I'm gonna go and pull out my 750k. You know what I mean? I'm gonna pull out my 75 pence probably. If they are doing that, they all need to go to prison. If that's the simple explanation, I'm not saying it is, but it would explain a lot. I think I've got to get some financial experts on to explain this, haven't I? I think I need to try and maybe set up an interview to come and explain this better. Somebody with an explanation and a background in finances, etc. Because that's really interesting. That's it's a good website, that Zero Hedges. I think from what I've seen of it, I certainly don't think it's it warrants the criticism that some people give it. People all over the world need to throw out their governments, otherwise we're doomed, says Gina. We do need a global revolution, and we haven't got long. We haven't got time. We haven't got time for this nonsense going on at the moment in Westminster, and this nonsense going on over there in the US and around the world, in all of them, in France, a lot of them. We haven't got time. We need to get some adults in the room who will actually talk to each other and come up with conclusions and answers rather than cause more fucking problems. I know, I'm a dreamer. People say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Stop paying taxes, says Gina. Try. Just try, Gina. They'll come for you. Trust me. Thank you, Uncle Torino. Wolf is no good with graphs, get keen, says Oswhistles. Well, if my theory with Richard Wolf is, if I get Richard Wolf on Oswhistles, we know capitalism is to blame even before we get the answer. Now, I'm not saying that he's not wrong in saying capitalism is to blame. I think he's right, but I don't know. There are some professors that have been smeared by the Integrity Initiative. Why not start there, eh? You know, is there any who are the Integrity Initiative smearing over economics? Does anybody know that in the chat? Who are the Integrity Initiative smearing over economics? That's the guy you need to go to get the truth from. They really don't understand how it can backfire on them. Steve Keen is at Kingston University, London, and he was one who fought with Krugman about how banks lend and won. All right, I've got some names here. I'll go after. I'll try and set something up. I want to do more interviews as well, but I did want to spend some time and just try and increase the sort of production thing. I don't know. See, I don't know what I want this channel to become yet. I don't know. I want it to obviously be always trying to find the truth, but I don't know how it will end up and what it will end up being or what I will end up doing. So, but while I'm doing it, I want to obviously make it look as good as possible. Steve Keen people mentioned, didn't they? Yeah, Mark Blythe is great. So B Green, Mark Blythe is great. You know what? Bollocks to it. I'll ask. There's no harm in asking, is there? What's the worst that can happen? Worst that probably ever going to happen is he'll ignore it or never see it. I'll try. Or say no. Fuck you, English scum. I'm sure he wouldn't. Is Steve Key the guy who got scammed by Coach Red Pill? I don't know, Ambient Hill. Don't box yourself in, Gordon. You're doing great. Keep it up. Thank you, Leonard Hand. I won't, mate. I don't know what I want it to become yet. I don't know. I just don't. But whatever it is, people seem to be supportive of it, and so let's continue doing it. And it certainly seems to be something that is helping people as well, which is what I always wanted to do in life. So it sort of fits everything I've always wanted to do. When I was at school, I remember. I think when you get to about 13, 14, you start having career advisors come in, or at least you used to when I was at school, which was a long time ago. But they come in, and I remember the woman asked me a question. I must have been about 15. It was probably about 6 months before we were due to leave school. And she said, "What are you going to do when you leave school?" And I went, "I don't know." And she said, "Well, what are you going to do for a job?" And I said, "I don't know." And she said, "Well, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? What career do you want?" And I said, "I don't know." And she was looking at me like I had like 17 different heads. And she says, "Well, what sort of company do you want to work for when you get older?" And I said, "I don't." This confused her even more. See, the thing is, I've always known that I didn't want to go and work for the man, and I didn't want to go and work for other people, because if I was working for other people in a capitalistic system, I knew, therefore, that whatever they were giving me as a wage, I was worth more. Because if ever it got to the stage where it was the other way round, they would fire me. So I knew this at a very young age. I'm good at mathematics. So I never wanted to go. So whenever I worked for anybody else, the only time in life I was ever passionate about it is if I actually trusted that other person. And the one time where I did trust the other person, it was at the time in our lives when it was just absolute fucking disastrous and everything went wrong. And it was a disaster. But before that, I couldn't work for anybody else because I knew that they were always going to try and screw me. Because that's how the system works. That's how they make money. This poor advisor was sitting there just before I left school. She was like, her report was, this guy's going to be a troublemaker and everything like that. And my teachers at the time, or some of my teachers, were dumbfounded by that. They thought it was actually quite intelligent. She just gave me the worst report ever. I didn't want to work for it. And he ended up going and working in the oil and gas industry for 10 years. Can you believe that? Two failed companies of my own and working for other people. Oh, God, what a disastrous story that is. Yeah, so we think you should reach out to Mark Blythe for insight and no-nonsense. Well, I'm sure he would give me insight and no-nonsense answers. There are some people that absolutely are inspiring when they speak. Just inspiring. You listen to them, they make sometimes. Economics is one of the most boring subjects ever, and must have listened to about 36 hours, and I'm not over-exaggerating there. I must have listened to about 36 hours of his lectures on YouTube. There are so many of them. There are so many, and interviews, and he's absolutely outstanding. Now, 98% of it just went in one ear and out the other. But the 2% that stuck, I think I sort of got the whole. I certainly got the whole what he was saying about the EU as a construct. And I got him. I got what he talked about with the financial crash in 2008 and what caused it. I understand what caused it. I understand they were basically creating a system, a bubble out of nothing. They were creating a system that was pretty much just built on, this guy says these are okay, so we're going to bet on this guy. Meanwhile, this guy knows that these are going to fail, so they're going to bet on the other, and they're going to create this whole system where they're all and the money is flowing and everything is happy, and then all of a sudden it all and you know with that something's going to crash. And I'm just, you see graphs like that and something has obviously happened, and they've obviously done something to change course, otherwise something disastrous happened. I don't know what it is and I want to find out. It's bugging me. And my theory so far, going forward, until I find a different theory, is they've started printing money based on the fact that Juan Guaido has said, yes, you can have my oil, install me as Venezuelan dictator. I'm joking. But wouldn't it be funny if that turned out to be true? Hoodie won Louisiana. Gordon put in his time, paid his dues, and got an OTJ education. OTJ. OTJ. On the job education, I see. So his job has found him. On an opposite. It filled all the things. I was saying how the reason she couldn't understand me was because I know that we're gonna die. I know this. I know we're all going to die one day, and then one day after that, the sun is going to literally blow up, literally expand to such a rate. It's going to burn out of fuel so much that it will expand and envelop the Earth before it explodes. I don't think it's big enough to collapse in on itself because it's not a super giant, massive, whatever it is. But I think it will just expand, and one day it's gone. One day all of it's gone. So therefore, when I was at school, I would, investigate stuff like, stuff like Nietzsche and, trying to find answers. Because my granddad died when I was in my early teens, and it shook me. It's like, well, what's the point of it all? What's the point of it all? If we're all going to die one day, what's the point? What's the point of caring about? This was how I went very nihilistic. And people noticed, I think at school and around the time, I was bullied quite badly as well because I was quite small. You wouldn't know it now. I'm 6 foot tall, but I was quite small when I was at school and bullied. But I knew all of this. None of it made sense. Not to me anyway. And I didn't believe in religion because that made no sense to me. So I needed something to fill, I needed something to make sense. And I tried desperately for so long to make money that thing that filled the gap, do you know? And I chased it. And you know what? I knew that it was a useless, futile exercise. And that's pretty much why I think whenever the going got good at one stage, at any stage, I went and pressed the big red button and destroyed everything, or made a mistake that just destroyed. So I was always self-sabotaging myself because I knew it was just a fugazi. There was nothing there at the end of it. There was no pot at the end of the rainbow. It was a futile exercise. It was meaningless. And then when I found poker, I'm giving you my life story now. I really have had a drink, haven't I? I don't know how many people are watching this, and I don't know whether you're interested. The chat is still ticking, so you're still here. I'll keep talking. It's a post-live show. So I found poker because I was good at mathematics, and because I had a mind that was quick at doing fast sums quickly and quick at working out percentages quickly. For instance, you could work out, right, okay, there's 2 cards to the river, your flop is there, he's got, 8 cards in the deck, so 8 times 4 is 32, so you've got 30, and you could work out his chances. And I used to play so many tables at a time, I would play 25 tables at a time, and I worked out that I was making a mathematical calculation in my head basically every 5 seconds for an hour. And that's the way I worked. And I was quite successful at it. I was never a high roller, I was never really good at poker. I was just good at one table sit and go tournaments because they are pretty much just mathematics. And nobody at that stage understood the independent chip model. None of them understood push-fold strategy on the bubble. When there's 4 people left and the blinds are high and 3 positions are paid. Nobody understood that. And I could make those decisions quickly, and many other people could too. And then Obama fucking ruined it because of Black Friday, and he banned the Americans from gambling. That's a whole video on itself. But I went to America, and my friend, you know, as I've spoke about before, he killed himself while I was over there. And when it came back, it destroyed my life. Because I was chasing money for so long, and it was emptiness. And this is pretty much why I floated through life and just didn't care about my health, drank, you know, did the drugs, just didn't care. It was a nihilistic way of living. And then when Steve killed himself, I had to ask all those questions that I asked myself back then, back when I was 12, 14, again, over. I had to question everything because of the things the guy said to me in the last days of his life. How the fuck did I miss it? How did I miss it? And I questioned everything. And I didn't know what I wanted. I finally got out of my depression and made it through PTSD with no help from the doctors, I might add. No help whatsoever. The system is fucking broken. The people with depression in this country. There was an interview with that episode I talked about on Going Underground on RT with the guy Afton Rashanzi. Oh, I have to learn how to pronounce his name right. But they were talking about, go and watch it. Go and watch his latest episode of Going Underground. There were two people who were on the PIP assessment, and the one guy is talking about depression. I sat there and honestly, I was in tears almost for him. I fucking knew what he was going through. I'd been there. And I questioned everything about my life. And finally, I sort of got myself out of it. And I thought, right, I don't know what this is all about, but I fucked up the first half of my life. Let's try and find something to fit it, because I'm not going to quit. At no point am I going to fucking check out like he did. You should have seen the devastation that caused a family. Jesus, it was horrific. And I'm sure he had his reasons to, and obviously he was not in his right mind and he was depressed and he needed help. But I saw the devastation and I thought, I'm never ever going to get to the point ever when I'm going to check out. So I have to find some, at the moment I'm killing myself slowly. I'm just not doing it with a 357 Magnum and a hollow point bullet. I remember saying that to his brother-in-law a few days after he died. And I went back into the oil and gas industry. I got a job because I was fucking destitute. I couldn't make any money. I'd quit poker because that was meaningless to me now. I thought I've got to find something. And then all of a sudden, I got interested in the referendum. I got interested in the 2016 general election. And something clicked for me. I thought, they're gearing up for global war. If you want a cause, do something about it. So I started websites, started doing whatever I could to get my voice out there, try and tell the truth, try and fucking go against the propaganda that I could see. I could see what Rachel Maddow was doing. I could see the bullshit from CNN, from and MSNBC. I watched it pretty much solidly for 2 months. It was fucking horrific. I thought I'm going to try and investigate and try and get the truth. And one day I was angry because I could see Trump blatantly lying. And I was I'm not sure whether I was definitely drunk for the first 2 videos I did. Definitely drunk. And when the third video, I was definitely high. And the 4th video, I was hungover. But since then, I haven't done a video where I'm drunk, apart from this one or any live streams. You see my point? Because I've just stopped drinking. Honestly, I feel like I've found my calling. And I want to thank you all for that. That's the point I want to make from it. I honestly feel as if this has filled every void in me. Because I'm giving a service. I'm giving back to the planet. I'm actually doing a service. I'm doing something that interests me, something that excites me. If I can make a living, great. If it makes me rich, wonderful. If it doesn't, don't care. Really don't fucking care. Give me 3 acres. Give me 3 acres. Somewhere hot. a shitload of solar panels, and a way to fucking irrigate the thing. There you go. That's all really I want. I'm not interested in all the other shit. I'm not interested in Bentleys or any of all these football. I'm not. It's a waste of fucking money. So I'm not bothered about the money anymore, as long as I can make a living. And it's just getting to the stage where it's getting a little bit easier. Yeah, a little bit. It's like, thank you to you for doing it. That's what happens when I have a beer. I've had one beer that size. See, that one is still full. I've had one beer and one smoke. I promise, I'm not drunk. I'm hoping. It was really difficult for me to do. I'm hoping that people, before people say anything nasty, if they do in any comments, I hope they understand that. And I hope they realise I'm actually putting that out there, because there's a lot of people, I think, watching that might strike a chord with. Well, you know what? I'm hoping I'm not the only one who's been through something like that. Yeah, Loem says, it's easy to miss what your friend was really saying. It's horrible for those left behind. But you can't kill your heart with blame and anger. Yeah, this is something that you learn. Because there's so many things that obviously go through your head afterwards. I mean, you know, oh God. I could do it, I could do a whole fucking video on it. It's fucking horrible, but there's so many things and so many questions you ask yourself, and there were so many signs there. I missed them all. But the thing is, I was meant to miss them all. It's not like he was reaching out, because if he was reaching out, he wouldn't have said those things the way he said them. He would have just said them it was all planned as well. It wasn't like, I mean, the reason why I say I should have known leading up is because he was planning it. And actually, as we went back and sort of investigated his last days, because there were so many theories. His wife was worried he was dying, and because she found out he'd gone to the doctors, and she got me to go into his computer, and I had to figure, fucking hell, it's all coming back to me now, how I found out about all this. Because his computer was on all the time. Right? But the day he did it, he turned it off. And it was off. And there's a big warning sign right there. He never turned his fucking computer off, ever. And yet on the night time, he turned it off like an hours before. And his system was, honestly, I mean, how do you get into a password system, a Microsoft password system? It's impossible. So Microsoft say the only way to do it is to buy another key or something like that. I didn't want to buy $200, $300 for another key, whatever it was, and his wife didn't have the money. So I thought, okay, I'll hack into it. So I learned, this would have been 2008. So what would that be? Windows XP? It might have been XP. So I learned how to, I found a back door. There's actually a back door. I'm not sure whether it's probably still in a Windows system. I shouldn't be saying this, but there's a back door where you can actually go in and press a certain keystrokes as you are sort of acting like you are reinstalling the copy of Windows. So then when you actually get to the login, you can mess about, and when we get to the login, you just have to press space 5 times, and it automatically I learned how to hack into it, and we had to go through all these files, and we found out these appointments for address. He'd been to the doctors and all that sort of thing. So we had to sort of go and find out, did he kill himself? Because obviously his wife was like, no clue. We had no clue what he was going through. We had no clue that he'd fucking lost about, I mean, he had a mortgage of 160. He had a mortgage. He took out a mortgage of something like $260,000. He had this mortgage of $260,000 for the house. That a house was now worth like 74 fucking grand. This was 2008. It did fall in hell. All these bastards who are doing the same thing again, they caused that shit. His wife was fucking... Anyway, I shouldn't say too much because I don't want to identify the family or anything like that. It's not up for me to do that. Critical thinking says, have YouTube took his money or something? That's critical thinking, is it? That's not critical thinking, mate. That's being an asshole. No, they haven't. YouTube haven't took my money. It's actually against the stage where, you know what, I can actually survive in my little flat here, but I need a bigger place, I do, and I would like to expand, and at some stage I would like to actually employ somebody to do all the technical shit that I fucking hate doing, so I can put more content out, and better content, and give a better... Anyway, you see my point. Thank you for being a twat, critical thinking, that's very nice of you. Yeah, 2020 is... 2020, hindsight is 2020, you're absolutely correct. A friend of mine says B Green was one of Robin Williams' friends. Yeah, he talked to him every day for 37 years, and he knew he was struggling, but he couldn't get through. He cried, but he couldn't. I mean, it must be. I mean, it must be such a. He knew he was going to get. I mean, he knew he was going to get much worse. From what I can tell, Robin Williams did. He knew he was going to get much worse, and such a tragedy because he was such a talented man. No consequences for the rich. We, the regular folks, pay for their sins, says Patricia Radigan. It is really quite. It's really when you look at the rank hypocrisy between, you know, the illegal stuff that people who are rich get away with compared to the legal stuff that the poor go to prison for. It really is hilarious to see politicians stand up and say, we have a wonderful system. I think it's just banter too with critical thinking. That's why I said thanks very much for being a twat. It's just banter. It's cool. I don't mind. I don't think he's being a troll. Don't anybody feel sorry for my little... I wasn't looking for any pity. Don't be sorry. I'm glad. Honestly, I'm glad. I'm glad it all happened. It's not a sob story. Not now, anyway. I've got through it. I'm glad it's all happened. It's made me who I am. And you know what? I'm fucking proud of who I am. I really am. And I'm trying to get better. And I think we all should do. And I hope you are all doing the same thing. And I hope you think you're decent people. And if you're not, do something about it. Or at least try to. Yeah, it's... Off topic, but tonight's Rogan was fantastic, says the Mycroft. I was watching it actually earlier. I want to go back and watch it because that was interesting. It was really interesting because you do get the feeling here that, you know what? The woman in that, I've forgotten her name now. She's quite high up, and she was talking about the what's his name, Yarno Monopolist thing. And you know what? The Yarno Monopolist thing, I was totally against that. That was, you know, his check mark, and they took his check mark away. And I've always said, well, you've took the check mark away. You've took the check mark, so therefore the check mark therefore is something that is a promotional thing. It's something that it's not there just for. My argument was and not just mine, many other people. My argument is the blue check mark is not just there for verification of who you are. Then is it? It's there as a status of merit. But then when you heard her argument tonight, and she said no, the reason he got his check mark or what had taken away was because he had, in his title, he had jokingly put BuzzFeed reporter. Now he's being a jerk there. Obviously, he's being a jerk, but he was obviously playing them, and he was pushing them, and he was baiting them. And when you heard her explanation, it was like, you know what? I don't fucking blame them for taking it away now. I don't blame them, because he actually was breaking their rules on the verification process. That's what he was doing. So yeah, I listened to her explanation. I can't remember exactly what she said now, but what she said was absolutely. I thought, yeah, I agree. I don't know whether you did, Mycroft. What do you think? Do you have a real job, says Critical Thinking? Because I like your vids, but I see you don't upload a lot. Maybe it is a lot for you, but I want more. It's because of all this stuff that goes behind the work. Yeah, people don't. Yeah, it's my full-time job, and it has been for a long, long time. It's the research that goes behind it, you know. And it's not just. I don't just research a story and then bang, do a video. Research a story down. That would just bore the shit out of me. I like to research a lot of stuff. I read a lot of stuff about. I spend like 80-90% of my time just reading. And I do it, you know, majority of the day. It's what I love doing. Even when I'm relaxing, I'm researching stuff and watching documentaries. So it's the work that goes behind the stuff. The videos itself, they don't take up the massive amount of time. It's all the work that goes, and it's getting all the slides, and then it's the uploading. For one person, it's a lot of work. I actually, if you look at the amount of videos I put out, and I've just realised it's critical thinking. You're probably being an arsehole, and I've just answered the question because you're being an arsehole. But to take you at face value, honestly, I want to upload more. If I had somebody to actually take some of the technical stuff off me, so I could spend more time researching, that extra bit amount of time researching. I didn't have to try to spend the time, you know, coming up with graphics and, you know, coming up with ways to promote the show and coming up with funny things to say on Twitter. And I didn't need to do all that sort of stuff. I mean, the funny stuff today on Twitter, hopefully I'm going to fucking stop doing that stuff anyway, because social media is driving me mad. It's so depressing. It's the time that goes on behind the scenes. That's the stuff. If I didn't put that time in, I wouldn't know what I know. And I wouldn't know the knowledge that I can, you know, try and translate to the screen and try and put everything in the context that I do. I hope that answers the question. It's not a part-time thing. Go and ask Jamal. Go and ask Jamal. Go and ask any of them. Go and ask Mike Figueredo. Go and ask. Go and ask. I tell you who to go and ask. There was a guy who did this, and he was doing this in the UK before I started, and it's JJ at the Let's Talk podcast, right? And when I was just a few months into this, and I didn't know as much as I obviously know now, and he invited me. Just look at him, look at his videos. His videos are excellent, and I don't think he's gone on to do this because he couldn't. He's got family. He's got, you know. I'm sure he wanted to. I'm sure he did. We talked about it. He was really passionate about it, but life sort of, you know, only certain. There is so much. It's not something you can do for part-time, is what I'm saying. And it's not something that lazy people can do. And it's not something that if you were to stick somebody like Chris Hayes or Rachel Maddow in a room on their own, like me, without any of the help around them, without any of the network that they've built up over years, their shit, it wouldn't get fucking 15 views on YouTube if it didn't still have their name on it. Because it'd be crap. Thank you, Learned Hand. I really appreciate that. Here's a bonus for being a human, he says. Keep up the fantastic work. I appreciate that, and thank you as well for all your really intelligent comments I've seen over the last year. Learned Hand has really, and Oz Whistles as well, who's been in the chat, and some other great, you all have. I can see all your names are lighting up now. But yeah, thank you to all your wonderful comments and support over the last year. I'm really trying to increase not just the quantity but also the quality, okay? Or at least increase the quality and keep the quantity at a level. You know, I want to be able to put out 10, 15 videos a week. And I'm trying to structure it and I'm trying to get better, but I'm really shit with schedules. It's one of the reasons why I could never work for other people. God, I'm late everywhere I go. I was always late for work. I was so late for work, they changed my hours at one place I worked from 9:30 until 6:30. Everybody else left at 5. They just changed my hours at work because I was always late. I miss JJ, says Nikki. I do too. I have to reach out to him and ask him how he's doing. Okay, everyone, it's getting on. It's late now. 1:23. How long have we been going for? Wow, we've been going for over an hour. So there you go. A little bit of a bonus video, insight into my world. What actually, what drives me? My sort of history. I've put it out there for you all to dissect, and hopefully people. I don't know. There's a human at the end of the screen with feelings. I always remember that. I try to as well. I'm trying to, at least. This is why I've got to get away from social media if it's bad. I'm too sarcastic. You be you, says Low M's. You be you. To all of you as well. Thank you very much, everybody. I love you all. Yeah, I'm gonna go and finish that beer, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks very much for your support, everybody. Peace. Love you all. Good night. And yeah, I will be investigating that. I'll be reaching out to some professors and to somebody who can maybe shed a light on that little mystery with regards to those graphs, because that doesn't look good. We're all gonna die. No. Peace, everybody. Love you all. Good night.